Welcome back, everyone, to Galactic Reviews. This is the final episode review over Moon Knight series. So we're going to go over the final episode, episode 6, and then we're going to give our final synopsis and overview of season 1. So the final episode, we still have Mark and Steven trapped in death.
Egyptian Valhalla, yeah.
I guess Valhalla. Well, no,
I said Egyptian Valhalla.
Yeah, but
it's more like Egyptian purgatory.
Well, they're still trapped there. You have, I went blank on names of characters. I know I have Elena following.
No, you don't.
What characters do I have in this? Hold on.
Elena is not a character in this show.
What am I thinking of? What character is there Elena for?
Her name is Layla.
I was close.
You were. They had the same kind of sounding.
Scrabble those letters up and you'll get it eventually. Hold on. I wanted to look up characters because I can't think of characters now. That I don't get any wrong.
Like you just did.
Yes, any more wrong. How about that?
Yeah. He's probably going to go Kanoshu or...
I can get his name right.
Oh, really? And say it.
Why isn't this working? You know what? Who cares? I'll just say people. What?
You got it, Zach.
Yeah.
Thanks. Since no one else wanted to do an intro, I had to do it with the worst
Don't forget about Elena.
Yeah, I'll be back. Hold on. Mental recap.
Recalibrating.
Hey, when I was at Walmart earlier, I looked for the hemorrhoid cream you asked me for.
What?
They didn't have that brand. So I asked this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, did he just ask for hemorrhoid cream?
they had it in strawberry and mango.
Why would you want it flavored? I want it glow in the dark.
They did say they had medium and smalls to glow in the dark and banana.
Well, they won't work.
But I told them that.
And plus, glow in the dark isn't good. It just comes out like a striped tiger.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's of Galactic Reviews. We have finished Moon Knight episode 6. Before we talk about the series and what happened in the last episode, what did you guys think of the show overall?
Everyone should have died. No one should live. Honestly,
I mean, all technicality,
bomb
yes.
should have just went off in Egypt.
I mean, all technicality, yes.
I still stand by my statement. How did Layla live on her way to the pyramid? The only reason I say that, Andrew, is because she was traveling with them while he was judging everyone. So she was judged correctly and good enough to be able to live. I just don't understand what circumstances mark it as she's good enough to live. Like, I don't know her backstory enough.
That's not necessarily the case. He didn't, when he judged everyone, it was decently obvious that not everyone there, like as in including his followers, got judged. It seemed like targeted.
Well, no, because his followers
were judged.
You had already become judged.
Yeah, but if
so, I would think it was just an area effect.
Yeah, but like undercover work.
I don't know.
I mean, I get that, but I also see Zach's point because all the followers were judged at some point, as that was the whole reason for the town scene of everybody going and following him, wanting to be judged, and most of the people that were judged in the right went on to be his helpers in the way to be really stopping.
And I would think personally, you know, if you were going to revive Khonshu and then help defeat Amit, that you would be judged for death because you're just going. I mean, that's really the only problem I had with it while I was watching it. That was probably the biggest one I had.
Yeah,
I
thought it was just like put a shawl over your head and hop in the back of the truck.
I mean, it would have been that simple if they didn't do that in the middle of it.
That's detailed talk.
Yeah.
This whole season.
Yeah, no. Episode 6, it wasn't the worst one. It was mediocre for this season. It did what you actually said, Andrew, like final boss fight. That was it. Nothing else. A lot of questions were left unanswered. There's that, and I can save that for later, I guess. But yeah, just not really worthwhile, I would say. Kind of just felt like a slide before you finish. Like not even really trying to.
I still think if they had 2 more episodes that they they could have done more to explain and finish it out as a well-rounded season.
So the small detail part of that is that this isn't a series. It was greenlit as a mini series. So as of now, there is no plans for a season 2. There were no talks going into it of having a season 2. It was just a 6-episode mini series.
Okay. And that makes me even a little bit more angry, because then why the reason for that end credit?
Well, because that doesn't mean his character's done. It just means because
I get that, but I wouldn't expect to see Moon Knight. If Moon Knight's going to be in a movie, I would think he'd be more of a Daredevil type, where he's just in for a couple scenes and out. He's not going to be a main, unless it's his own stake movie.
It's not just that. Why would they end it off with Khonshu technically revoking his contract with 2 of the 3 personalities?
You technically,
no, but I'm saying that he said that the agreement was if they did this one more thing, that he would no longer be in control of what the 2 of them do.
Yep.
So
he was
rid of 2 of the 3 personalities.
Yeah.
So, which confuses me of how they're going to use him later on without like another mini series to explain him getting back control of the other 2.
Yeah, because they essentially just said Mark and Steven are no longer Moon Knight. Everything's just, the only one that would be Moon Knight is Jake, essentially, in this case. I don't know how they would be able to do Moon Knight now in a series, because it's no longer going to be Moon Knight. Because then you need a whole explanation for why he got back into the suit. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. Any thoughts from you, Andrew? Or is that?
I don't know. It left off with answers, but also it wasn't like a closed book. Like they gave it the ability to like still have Moon Knight and Mark and Steven and Khonshu in future things, but they left it where it didn't concretely set up a whole nother season.
Yeah.
I know. Close the book on having no Moon Knight ever.
Yeah, they can still do it easily. Like if he gets brought up in the Blade movies or the mini like 1-2 episodes that they're gonna have over Halloween, to kind of have Mark just become a bounty hunter to kill a werewolf or to hunt vampires, and he realizes he needs Khonshu.
And by the time those roll out, that could give them enough time to like work out a second season contract. And then they can work those details in of what would lead into a second season and those like specials that he's in.
Yeah, but also I don't know if the series is doing that well or not. And since it's only Disney Plus, it's easy accessible for pirating. A lot of these streaming services aren't really being good with their numbers now. So who knows? They might not think it's wise for them to do a whole nother series on this character, since they're not getting enough money. But I don't know.
Zach, what did you think of the series?
I thought it was overall mediocre. There were good parts I enjoyed. There were bad parts that I didn't like. There were a lot of questions, some answered, some unanswered. I enjoy the final credit scene. That was probably one of my favorite things to see in this season. Disappointed with the fact of now there's only one personality that has the power. Well, one personality that knows he has the power still. So I'm mostly just confused on how they're going to use him and why he was brought in to the cinematic universe in the first place now. So that's my biggest question and concern, I suppose you could say.
Overall, I thought the series was all right. I was decently entertained throughout the whole thing. I think I enjoyed it more than Loki, and about as much as I enjoyed Hawkeye. So like a good 6.5. Marvel hasn't made, they did really well with WandaVision. I really like WandaVision. So far, I think WandaVision has been their best original show as a Disney Marvel corporation. And I would give that like 7.5. So this I'd give like 6.5, 7 at the highest, 6.5-ish. Yeah, it's middle of the road. I liked it. Very entertained. I'm trying to hold back my bias of my enjoyment of Oscar Isaac and his acting particularly.
He did do a really good job.
I will say, knowing Andrew, the rating would have gone up if Yelena would have shown up in the show.
That's why I had that name in my head.
100%. Yes.
That's why I had the name in my head, and that's why I said it earlier.
Florence Pugh does a Cooking with Flow series on her
pretty much almost
Instagram We're supposed to just cook and talk, and it's so nice.
Do you talk to her?
No, because it's just a video, but still.
Oh. Do you want to give your rating or your overall, what you thought of it?
Yeah, no, mine is like a 5.5. To me, it is pretty much, I've only so far seen all the way through Loki and Moon Knight. And I do enjoy this one better than Loki, but I think that's just bias because I like the Moon Knight character. If I can learn how to speak and pronunciate properly. Out of all their other TV shows, I've given up on them 2-3 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say anything else for the other ones. They just didn't hold my attention.
Catch us next episode as we review the 2 seasons of Marvel shows Zach hasn't finished yet.
I guess for me overall, yeah, had expectations for this show. Thought it was going to be more like Daredevil. It wasn't. Thought it was going to focus more on Moon Knight, focused more on Stephen Grant and Layla, which I didn't quite like. Whole bunch of stuff I just wasn't answered, never got answered. I think like the first scene of Moon Knight is Arthur Harrow putting glass in his slippers, and we never get an answer for why he did that.
What are you talking about? It came full round at the very end.
He talked about it in an interview. It wasn't scripted. It was just something he added to the character because he thought it was something that a crazy prophet would do.
Which honestly, the only comparison I can give him is that it would be like walking on hot coals or whatever. So like I can understand like his mindset of why he would want to do it.
My thing was it just wasn't explained.
It was a little odd, off the wall. I will give it that. But it made sure the character's a little bit unhinged. So it did its job.
Yeah, well, we also thought at first it was to keep his other personas out by him staying awake the whole time because he said he was Moon Knight at one point.
It doesn't mean he has like multiple personalities.
I mean, that's the way I thought it might be, especially with him being the Dr. Harrow. I thought that was his other personality.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, I mean, I can get where you can see that, where that could have been a possibility. But honestly, I don't know.
A lot of things just aren't answered, and it's just weird, especially with it being a miniseries and not even a real
I like
show.
how they locked the personalities into sarcophagi. I thought that was fun, just keeping with the Egyptian war.
Yeah, that was cool. I was really hoping they get to meet Jake, but I'm okay with how they ended it with them not knowing yet.
I mean, I'd be okay with it too if there was going to be like a second season, but there's not. So it's just like, why put it in at all?
Yeah, it would have been better if they just kind of left it as is and didn't introduce Jake. I think people would have been upset that we didn't get to see Jake. Yeah. But without any confirmation that they're going to do another series or have him used in any other way.
Well, I mean, I highly doubt that they're not going to, they're going to just, shun him.
Well, I don't think they're going to shun him, but what I'm saying is I don't think he's going to be a main in the series.
Well,
which, I mean, he kind of wasn't already a main in this one, so I don't know.
I was talking with other people, and they had the thought, which I said was impossible. If Doctor Strange came out like a week later, maybe Moon Knight would have made an appearance into the Doctor Strange movie.
I don't know if that would happen.
Like a different variation of Moon Knight or something to kind of tie in the find that he is more than just the TV show. He is going to be brought. And I was like, that's kind of, that would have been cool. That would have been interesting. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, it would have been an interesting idea.
I'm not denying that, but it just
something like that.
I'm not denying it would have been interesting, but it's just one of those things where they knew they had a limited amount of time to write it, to make a good story and make a story happen. And it just felt weird
at least
using
now,
this specific story for this small episode.
I understand why they didn't waste their time giving a backstory since they were limited on 6 episodes because it was a mini series and not a full length.
I mean, they still did it.
Well, they did it, but it was still very.
I just wish it would have been more.
Done.
I wish if they were going to do it, I wish it was more sporadic. That way, you got the full dump on 4, and then got the.
I mean,
knew what the stakes were in episode 6 instead of just
like you still barely know about like what all you know is Mark was a mercenary.
Yeah.
And he was kicked out of the military, and that's all you know about him besides his childhood.
Yep. And we really don't get to see his character until about 5 or 6.
Well, I will say the way they did it with the explanation of he went kind of insane over the
Mhm.
death of his mother. I'm like, they did a good write-off saying that Steven's in charge because Mark just kind of mentally broke. So he couldn't, because of that, he couldn't take full control back over his mind. So
I thought it was more
with
so
the
on.
explanation, I was like, okay, that makes a little sense. But still, I am still confused as to why he would call his mother. I would think his father would have answered or something.
I started rewatching it because it's never a conversation. It's always voicemail.
Yeah, but the thing is, I would think, his mother's dead. She's been dead for, I'm going to guess, a few months now. Someone else would have that phone number.
I think it said 2 months.
2 months? Someone
Yeah.
else would have that phone number by that point.
Not always.
Maybe. Possibly.
It's possible, but probably not.
I mean, it just depends. I'm not really sure.
I've seen videos where people will text like their deceased like sibling for like years until someone gets their phone number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the timeline. I just know it's possible to go for a while without someone having the
Yeah.
phone number.
Well,
But still, I would think, hey, your father would have the phone. He would see it and be like, why is Mark/Steven calling so many times? And he would give a ring, but apparently not. The whole point was that I would have thought his father would have tried to get in contact.
yeah, that part was weird. The mother was abusive and the father just did nothing about it. It seemed like I thought that was weird
I
and made
think the
little to no
father
sense.
did it in his own way where he couldn't punish his wife, but he couldn't protect his son because he was at work all the time. Because it's one of those things like, how can you punish your wife when she lost a child and she blames it on the other one? It's one of those things like, I don't know.
I mean, at some
what
point you
type of
gotta just, yeah.
I mean,
Well, I get
yes,
that, but at
in a
some
way.
point you gotta just let bygones be bygones at that point because nothing's
Yeah,
gonna
but I
change.
mean, some people can't, and it depends on the circumstance as well. It was one of those
Yeah.
things. We told you not to do this. You went and did it anyways, and he ended up dying for it. And then it was one of those things of you always hated him, you never wanted him, blah blah blah. It was just more of pushing the blame onto someone else is easier to cope with than realizing it was somewhat your fault. You shouldn't have let them go on. You should have known it was going to rain. One of those things.
Yeah, abusive relationships are complicated. Yeah, they're not very straightforward.
So, I mean, like, I understand the father had a difficult time because he had to deal with his wife, who was mentally unstable at that point, and
Yeah.
his son, who was suffering from the same part because of his mother. So it's one of those subjects like you tip too far in one end, it might turn into a disaster. One might be killing the other, one might be committing suicide. It's just one of those things you don't know. I think in his own way, he did it the best he could.
Yeah, I just wish that was seen better, I guess.
I suppose I can understand.
And I
that.
guess that's what happens when you push it all towards the last 2 episodes.
It would have benefited from 2 more episodes.
Overall, yes, I think we would have been able to get a little bit more feeling for some of the other characters, feeling for his backstory, and just have more care for the series as a whole
Mhm.
with just 2 more episodes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 3.5. Definitely not the worst Marvel show, but definitely not
What
gonna
would
watch
you
it again.
rate as the best one you've seen done by Disney?
I guess out of any of them, WandaVision would have to be the best one. I give that one a 4. It started out great, but then just tanked after that. No longer liked it as much after like episode 2. Most of the other ones lost most interest after the first couple episodes. I guess with WandaVision, I was hoping for a Mephisto Wanda arc, like what if arc, I guess, or not House of M kind of thing going on. I was just disappointed when that didn't happen and they had all that kind of lined up for it and looked like they had it all lined up for it. So that was just disappointing to hear. A whole bunch of this stuff has just been bad. in my opinion.
One of my other favorite things about this episode was the fight that Mark and Steven had when they were switching between personalities in the middle of the fight. I thought they did that very well. They choreographed that well. I hope we can see more of something similar to that in the future. I think that would be fun, but who knows?
Well, I mean, I would say to that, the way they left the show, it doesn't seem like we're going to get that.
Well, I mean, that's why I
And
said
that's the one
more
thing
of
I
that,
don't.
more of just that type of fighting in general, like
Yeah.
switching between like two personalities or two fighters in two different multiverse doing somewhat of the same thing, or I don't know, anything in that sort of reality, I suppose.
I mean, I see it as this miniseries introduced two new characters to the MCU, Scarlet Scarab and Moon Knight, and they stayed true to the desire of Steven and Mark to want to be done with Khonshu, and they were able to get out of the contract because they were working as a team, but they were still able to keep the possibility of Moon Knight in the MCU in the future by having Jake be an unknown entity that Khonshu had a separate or contract with. Maybe they had to do it this way because they couldn't get it to be a series, but they were confined to a miniseries.
At that point, I would say they didn't time it right. They didn't make it worth the time frame that they had if they knew it was going to be this long. And
spent too much time on the first 3 episodes and then had to rush the last 3.
Yeah, and it shows. It really does. All right, that is the end of our Moon Knight series review. Next time we do a series review, we'll be doing Kenobi. First 2 episodes come out on the 27th, so be tuned for that. Until next time, thank you for watching Galactic Reviews.